What's going on, guys? It's Awaken Void X, and today we're going to be ranking every Disney Speedstorm map. I've been thinking about making this video for a while, and I'm finally getting around to it. We're going to be using Tier Maker, and we have all our maps right here. I'm going to be ranking these maps based on a few things. How fun the map is, the map's overall design and look, including, details from the actual source material that it's from, the different variations or circuits that the map has, the actual pathing of the tracks in each map, obstacles that are in the map, and of course, the most important part, the music. There's definitely going to be no opinions here. This is all going to be based on actual hard evidence and hard facts. Let me know what your favorite map is in the comments. I don't know if you could really determine which map is the best, but, hey, we're going to do this. All right, so starting off with Toon Village. This is a pretty basic map. It kind of reminds me of Mario Circuit from like Mario Kart. It's a pretty basic map. There's nothing too special about it. I like how there's random lightning in the background of the map, and I like passing through the Toon Village and stuff. But the track's pretty basic. There's not too many like crazy shortcuts or anything. I'm gonna go with awesome, B tier. It's a pretty solid map. It's not something too amazing, but it's like definitely one I like to race on. All right, next is gonna be A Pirate's Life from Pirates of the Caribbean. This one is gonna be interesting because they actually added to this map a few seasons ago and added a whole other section where you go underwater and you can see the Kraken, you see a bunch of gold, and it's pretty cool. This map actually has some of the cooler background stuff in it. You have ships shooting cannons at each other. You have a giant skull. You go past a giant skull cove. You also pass by a town on the seaside. You're racing on the docks. It's a pretty well-designed map. The music is pretty good, but the disappointing part is that they didn't actually add any Pirates of the Caribbean music from the movie when they added to the map, which is pretty disappointing. There's some tight turns, there's some straights, and the racetrack can be pretty wide at times. It's a pretty fun one, and even with the addition to the map, I don't think it actually adds too much. And again, it's just more yo-ho music remixes, so the remixes aren't actually that crazy, but they do bop. I'm gonna have to go with awesome. It's an awesome, solid map. Definitely enjoy that one. All right, next up on our list is Mount Olympus from Hercules. This map looks phenomenal. There's something awesome about racing on the tops of clouds in this glorious looking place, going through temples with this awesome soundtrack. Like, this map has some of the best music in the game, and it's got a good variety of long circuits as well as short ones. Honestly, I'm gonna have to say that this map is undoubtedly S tier. It is absolutely amazing. Just from the design of everything in the background, as well as the soundtrack, Zero to Hero. It just bops the whole time. Yeah, this map has some of the best music in the game and a good variety of circuits for it. And that one part of the map where you actually like go into like this lightning storm and the lightning hits the track, that's a really cool obstacle, as well as a really good change from the bright, sunny, cloudy part of the map to like a very dark section. And I do think that is an S tier map for sure. I didn't mention it at the beginning of the video, but make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you're enjoying it so far. I would really appreciate it. Anyways, all right, our next map is The Castle from Beauty and the Beast. Let's talk about this map. So this map is fantastic. The design of this map might be the best in the entire game, in my opinion. It's really interesting because this map is fully enclosed. Like, there is no sky above you like every other map in the game. And I think that makes it really unique. It makes you really feel like you're in the castle from the movie. You actually scaled pretty small compared to everything else. For example, like the dishes are very big and they're floating and jumping around all around you. There's plates, cups, bottles just flying everywhere, as well as fireworks, I believe, just going off all the time. It's very exciting. As well as the walls, the windows. You go past the giant rows. It's just very well designed. Like, it's a beautiful map. There's good variation between the circuits here, as well as lots of different pathways depending on what circuit you're playing, which keeps things fresh. And this map does a good job with shortcuts because there's a lot of tracks that go out of the way that you can just kind of cut over. And that makes this map really fun for racing. And I can't forget about the obstacles of this map. Pendulums are a fun object to avoid, as well as the spinning teacups. They fit with the map really well. Yeah, I have to go with S tier. This map is probably the coolest looking map in the game, in my opinion. There's just a lot of small details everywhere on this map. It's quite beautiful. And honestly, I'm gonna put it above the Hercules map. It's just better. What can I say? All right, next up is Jungle Ruins. I'm gonna be putting this map in A tier, fantastic. It's a fantastic map. I feel like some people are going to say that this map is a little plain, but hear me out. This map probably has the best straights in the entire game, as well as some of the best shortcuts. So track-wise, I think it's pretty awesome. There's usually 2 different paths you can go. On the one part of the map where you're going along like the giant tree, there's always multiple paths that are a shortcut, but you miss out on an item. And I like that you have to choose between either getting an item or going a maybe shorter path. It gives the player more options of what they're trying to do on that map and different ways to win. And the soundtrack goes hard here. Like when it's playing, look for the bare necessities. And then all of a sudden, it just like electronic music just goes so hard. And it's like kind of unexpected, and yet it sounds super awesome. It's just exciting. I don't know what to say. It's just exciting. There isn't too many like Easter eggs from the movie in this map, but obviously the giant snake, as well as like the ruined temple. I think it's just a all-around fantastic map. It's not the best ever, but it's definitely a great map. All right, next up is the Great Wall. Let's talk about this map. This map has a lot of background details that are references to the movie, which I find awesome. Like you have the Great Wall of China that the track kind of turns sideways on, which is pretty cool. You kind of see like where the Emperor of China is, where that final scene is in the movie. You go past there, you have these fireworks from this camp creating an interesting obstacle on the ground, as well as a section where you go to like the Chinese village. You have a giant dragon around it. Like this map just has some really cool details, as well as really cool design overall. The track itself is a fun one to play on. There's a lot of tight turns, which sucks if you're a brawler, but if you're playing like a trickster or a speedster, you'll definitely have a good time on those turns in this map. There's not a lot of maps in this game with good corners. This map has some of the best music without a doubt. As far as variety between circuits go, it also has, yeah, a good variety between circuits. I want to put it S tier, but I don't think this map's design is as good as the Hercules map or Beauty and the Beast. I think I'm gonna have to put it A tier, but I'm definitely gonna put it above Jungle Book. It's a great map. All right, next is the Silver Screen. I think this is a pretty underrated map. I think the idea of you being in a movie theater and then kind of just crashing through the screen into this old black and white flick is a really cool idea, to be honest. And this map actually has some of the coolest obstacles in my opinion. The train that goes by is a really fun one to like try and jump over. You have these mine carts that can crash into you. And while it's not an obstacle, that rope trampoline is also something that's, I don't think, in any other map. I think it's pretty fun. And while this map isn't the most colorful, because it's black and white, I still think it's one of the coolest looking maps because it's black and white. As far as the track goes, this map has a few different paths to it. I like the part where this map kind of zigzags and you can either go above or under a different track, and then you can jump off onto the bottom part of the track. There's one part of the track where it's very not flat at all, and the map has some weird lumps, I want to call it. And I don't think it feels bad actually playing on that. I know some people don't like weird bumps, even though it's not flat a lot of the time. I still think it was pretty well designed, this track. And the music on this map, while it's not the most recognizable, this map I think has the best song in the entire game. I mean, just listen to this. I mean, why does it just go so hard right there? It gets you so pumped about finishing the race and getting first place. It's just awesome. And so with all that said, I think it's an underrated map, and I'm actually gonna put it in A tier fantastic. For now, I think I'll put it right here. I think the Mulan map is a little bit better, but there is something really special about this map. All right, next up is the Factory from Monsters, Inc. This is a difficult one to rank, actually. Let's get this out of the way. First of all, the music is phenomenal. Monsters, Inc. has one of the best and most iconic songs of all time, and it's awesome in this game. You get to go to the scare floor, you go to where all the doors are being stored and being moved around, and you even get to go through a giant activated door to the Himalayas, which is awesome because I love maps that take you to multiple different areas. So that gives this map some points for sure. And all the background details with like the scream canisters. As far as the actual racetrack goes, I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's the best, but there are some parts I like. I do like the Himalaya section. There's multiple paths that you can go, how you can cut across the snow. The snowballs are a pretty cool obstacle to avoid. I like how there's multiple paths sometimes. There are some good shortcuts on this map. For some reason, I would probably rather play other maps than this one. The music, I think, is the best part, as well as the design. Some of the door obstacles, I think, are a little weirdly placed. I think you guys know which ones I'm talking about, but I'm gonna have to put this in awesome. I don't think it's bad at all, but I just don't think it stands up to any of these other ones. All right, next is Arby's Arena. So this is an interesting map because it's just unique to Speedstorm. It's not based on anything. It's just their own map that they made. And the soundtrack for it is actually not bad either. And what I personally love about Arby's Arena is how short the tracks are. I know a lot of people don't like that. It's really refreshing to get Arby's Arena, especially when all these other circuits on these other maps are so long. I love the change of pace of having a 4, 5, 6 lap race on Arby's Arena. And this map has some of the best obstacles. The giant arm things that swing back and forth are such a fun obstacle because if you don't dodge it, you just like kind of get launched. But once you get down the timing of it, it's so fun to serpentine through. There's some cool shortcuts on this map, especially sometimes there's like no barrier. You can like hop over the gap and make it. I do like the background of like the floating pyramids and houses, and it's very futuristic looking. I think what makes this map really good is its simplicity compared to these other maps. I'm actually gonna put in awesome B tier. I don't think it's C tier. It's definitely like a solid map. Like I appreciate it every time I get it in a multiplayer race or even just doing like a mystery box in the season tour. Who knows, guys? Maybe I'll change some of the rankings of this at the very end when I have everything placed right here. We'll have to see. All right, next is Andy's Room from Toy Story. I think I'm putting it in S tier. This is an amazing map. First of all, the soundtrack is awesome. I don't think it's the greatest out of any of the other maps or anything, but it's got to be one of the best. This map probably has the coolest like details in its design, especially when it comes to background items and the track itself. First of all, the track is like it feels like a Hot Wheels track, as well as there being books, rockets, toys from the movie. You can see Andy's bed in the background. You know, you see toy soldiers. There's a rocket that takes off. It's awesome. As well as it just being in Andy's room and you being the size of a toy. So the background for this map is amazing and very colorful and fun to look at. I notice new things about it every time I play it. As far as the track goes, honestly, the variations of this map are awesome, as well as a lot of choice between going on these higher paths and lower paths. This map also has some of the best grand pipe routes in the game. You get to go down and below the map. You get to go right next to this rocket as well as under the track. The part of the map where you're on like a half pipe is super fun, especially like going off of the top and off the sides. You could do some pretty wonky things. There's that part of the track that turns you upside down, as well as the obstacles on this map. There's some hammers that go left and right. There's these turning spikes that you have to avoid. This map isn't super linear in that you only have one way to go. And I think that's pretty cool because it's got to be hard to design that. And yeah, there's just something about all the details in this map being toy related in some way, or you going under a book, and it's just awesome. It's an awesome map, and that's why I'm putting it in S tier, and I think it deserves to be up there. All right, next up is Kauai from Lilo and Stitch. This one, I don't know where I'm gonna place it, so let's go over the pros and cons of it. Pros are the music for this map is awesome, as well as the design of this map is also top tier. A part of the map is by the ocean, a part of it is going through the town, a part of it is going past an active volcano. They got a lot of stuff from the movie in this map. The obstacles are probably one of the more unique ones when you have an alien ship come in and laser the track or drop off obstacles, as well as actual lava you can fall in. So a lot more unique obstacles in this map for sure. There's some good like straightaway parts of the track, as well as some pretty cool turns, including some pretty cool shortcuts where if you don't follow the track and just cut across the lawn, you're gonna have a good time. There's also multiple different paths on this map, as well as some pretty cool grand pipes over lava. The only thing I don't like about this map is probably the middle part of it, where there is those really tight turns on a part of the map that's super bumpy and has lots of dips. That's pretty annoying. Although I will say, once you get the hang of it, you can kind of figure it out. And that part of the map does have one of the coolest shortcuts in the game, I will say, where you can like hop over the pond. Let me know in the comments if you've done that before or know what I'm talking about. There's some short races as well as some longer ones. And honestly, yeah, it's a pretty solid map. I'm actually gonna go and put it in A tier, probably at the top. I'm tempted to put it S tier. The music makes me want to. I do love all the little details here, but I don't think it's S tier. It's definitely A tier though. Fantastic map. All right, next is Agrabah from Aladdin. I'm just gonna straight away put this map in S tier. Ooh, it might be the best one. I don't know. Honestly, for now, I'm gonna put it at the best. This map is phenomenal. I love everything about this map. From the tracks, to the design, to the Easter eggs from the movie, to the music. I would argue it's almost perfect. No cap on a flat stack. So let's talk about it. The amount of stuff from this movie that's in this map is unending. You have the actual city of Agrabah, which is designed magnificently. Then you have the Cave of Wonders. You could jump through its opening mouth and into the cave itself. You can actually see like the genie lamp is propped up in that cave. There's like piles of gold and treasure. You have these statues. You have lava coming down from the ceiling. Part of the track is also like the magic carpet itself, as well as you just being like next to this mountain, which is right by this really beautifully designed city. Like I said, it's just a really awesome map to look at. As far as the track goes, it's also pretty well designed. There's a few different routes that you can go basically throughout the entire map. You either go left or right. And there is also some cool grand pipe routes on this map. This map also has one of the coolest shortcuts I would say in the game. I don't know if I'd really call it a shortcut. You kind of go on this alternate higher path through the city and jump down. It's got to be one of the coolest paths in the game. There's like a few obstacles like lava you can avoid and like some things that can smash you, but not like that. So the obstacles aren't like too intricate or crazy or anything, but there are some other shortcuts where you can obviously not follow the track and just cut through. And the variations this map has is pretty awesome as well. And I think the tracks for all of those are really well designed. Between jumps, boosts, items, turns, straights, it's all great. And then the soundtrack is amazing. Some of the best remixes in the game, no debate. A Whole New World goes so hard, and Arabian Nights goes so hard. How is this map not perfect? Well, to me, it basically is. I'm putting an S tier. Fight me in the comments if you don't like that. I don't care. This map is awesome. All right, next up is Arendelle from Frozen. This is gonna be a hard one. This map has a lot from the movie in the map, which I think is pretty sick. Like, you have the actual town of Arendelle. You have like the frozen ships from like the end of the movie. And then you also have the ice castle at the very top. It feels really cool when you're going up to like the ice castle. It really feels like you're like climbing up this mountain all the way up to it. I think the inside of that ice castle is really cool looking, as well as the part of the track where you can either go left or right and you're kind of mirroring the other track. And yeah, I think the design of the buildings, the mountains, the ships, it all looks really good. But one thing I don't like about this map, I don't like the river with the floating pieces of ice that you can have to sort of hit at a certain angle to get through that area pretty good, or else you just get plowed and pushed to the side. I think there's like some useless grand pipe routes on this map. I do like the snowballs that get shot at you from the ice castle. And then there's also those red crystals in the ice castle. Those are kind of more on the annoying side rather than like a fun thing to dodge, I would say. You have some long straights as well as some tight turns, just like every other map. I think it's an okay map. I don't think it's that amazing, but honestly, I can understand someone putting it A tier, S tier. I'm gonna go and put it in B tier. I'm not like a huge fan of the movie or anything, but it's definitely still a pretty awesome map. All right, next up is Atlantica from The Little Mermaid. This map actually changed quite a bit as it introduced water into Disney Speedstorm, which made parts of the track completely different than any other part of any other track on any other map. It completely changes how you race, and I love this map for that. But yeah, so the racetrack is pretty interesting with you being underwater. You kind of float down, and when you jump a lot higher. And because of that, they do some unique things with the track on this map. In the underwater section, there's multiple different paths that you can go. You can go below, you can go on the left side, you could go right on the grand pipe and go up and out of the water and cannonball on into the water. It's got some really cool paths because of that. And then you have parts of the track that go out of the water and then go back into the water. And as far as the details go and the look of the map, it's fantastic. You have Atlantis itself underwater looking glorious, and it's glowing with some awesome lights. And if you look up, there's ships at the top of the water, as well as just multiple fish swimming past you throughout every underwater section. And then you have all the trinkets that Ariel collected in the movie as a giant part of the map. You have Ursula's little cave or whatever. And then you also have the castle from the movie itself where Prince Eric lives. I didn't think it would even look that good if they put that into the map, but it actually is one of the best parts of the map. Even that part of the map has some awesome details and definitely feels like it fits into the map. You know, there's some cool grand pipe routes. I like going up and out of the water on big jumps. Yeah, the soundtrack is awesome. You have like Under the Sea remix. You have Part of Your World. As far as obstacles go, the underwater wind is kind of annoying. This map had a lot of verticality to it because of the whole underwater section. And even when you go up to the castle, you can go up super high and then just cannonball back in. Like, this map This map has it all. This map is gonna have to go in, I think I'm gonna put it S tier. Maybe not. I don't know. There are some cool open parts of the map. It's not very narrow, and I do appreciate that. I gotta put it S tier. This is one of the best maps in the game. I'm gonna put it above Toy Story, I believe. This is one of the best looking maps in the game and has one of the best soundtracks, as well as there just being a lot of different paths that you could go on this map. I don't know what to say. Variety is good. All right, next is Candy Kingdom from Wreck-It Ralph. Very colorful map. Very well designed, lots of cool candy in the background like ice cream and chocolate and gumballs and rainbow lollipops and cake and just everything you could think of. And because of that, it makes the map very fun, very colorful. The track itself is also probably one of the more unique ones. This map also has a good amount of variety when it comes to the different tracks that it has. There's some really quick ones. Like there's that one where you go up the cake, jump away, then jump back to it, and go up the cake again, and it's pretty fun. Then you also have this really cool one-lapper where it splits the usual track in half and has you go up and down it in a super long race, and I love those one-lappers. The tracks that this map has are some of the best in the game, I would argue. As far as obstacles go, you have these giant gumballs on that half pipe that shoot at you. Personally, I find that a really fun obstacle to try and dodge and try and learn a good path through. You have these exploding cherries, which can be a little bit annoying, especially if you're taking this inside track along that giant cake. I do agree that's probably one of the more annoying obstacles in the game. The wind on this map is pretty annoying, especially when there's like some wind that pushes you into obstacles on the map. Like, come on, bro, that just sucks. This track is pretty linear. There's not too many like alternate paths you can go. It's kind of just all one linear track. I don't think it's too much of a negative because it is kind of like wider paths in that case. The last thing to talk about for this map is the music. And I know I've said this a few times, but the music makes this map one of the best. I mean, come on, Owl City, it's a great remix. And then you also have like the Sugar Rush theme. And man, does that theme bop too. Like, it's just the perfect song for racing. And I would even argue that this map has the best songs overall. I think all the songs are fantastic. But where to put it? This is hard. I personally really love this map. I'm gonna go with S tier. It has to be S tier. Like maybe I have too many in S tier, guys, but it belongs in S tier, right? I'm gonna put it above The Little Mermaid, I believe. I think this map might be a bit overhated. All right, next up is Riley's Mind from Inside Out. Well, we got to a map that I am really not a fan of. I'll start with what I hate the most about this map. I think everyone might know what I'm about to mention, but yeah, it's gonna be all the bumps and like humps in the road. It's just not a fun track to race on the one part of the track with all the tubes. I like how there's a few different paths on that, but it seems like there's only one way that seems to be the best on that map, which is just going along the inside. There's just some paths on that map that just seem a lot slower than the other ones, which doesn't really tell me that it was designed that well, as well as just never being able to drift along all the bumps in the road. It's just not fun. I don't know what to say. I will say the short circuit of the map is the best, but that's not saying much. And man, it was always annoying just hitting these random pipes that are in the air. You just conk your head into it. And then the long track isn't really anything special either. It's just straight path that kind of just slowly goes around the whole thing. There's not a lot of cool things to look at on that map. It's just a boring racetrack. I'd rather play any other map. The music is still pretty good. And you guys have seen my list so far. I've mostly been praising everything, and a lot of these maps are on the higher end. So we're gonna be putting it in F tier. Actually, hold up. Let me change the name of this. I'm just gonna change the name of F tier to Inside Out because I'm not putting any other map in this category. And I forgot to mention, but the biggest part of that is the variety. You either go the long way or do that long map reversed, or you do the short track. There's barely any variety on this map, which also makes it very stale and very boring. Do you guys agree with me on that? Like, there's just not a lot of good circuits on this map. All right, next is the Nightmare Festival from The Nightmare Before Christmas. I think this is one of the coolest maps in the game. Let's talk about it. The design of this map is awesome. There is so much from the movie in this map. You have Oogie Boogie's lair, you have the Halloween Town Hall, you have the Green Fountain, you get to drive through the entire Halloween town. You also have the tree that leads you to Christmas Land. You also have the iconic hill that Jack sings his lament on. This map has a lot of everything. As far as design goes, it's fantastic. The Halloween town looks great. It looks spooky. There's ghosts flying around. There's a green lake that's full of acid or sludge. I don't even know. You have jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. In Oogie Boogie's lair, you have a lot of like dancing skeletons and lots of cool neon lights. And then Christmas Land also has a bunch of stuff as well. It has snow, it has gingerbread houses, it has a train, it has Christmas lights, it has a lot of awesome details in it. This map might have the widest range of detail out of them all. Let's talk about obstacles. The saws in Oogie Boogie's lair are pretty cool. They're a little annoying, I will admit. The ramps in Christmas Land are pretty funny. When you're going the other way and you hit it, you just die. But otherwise, there's really not too many obstacles on this map. Let's talk about the actual racetracks. I think the one lap race that you usually get is really cool because you get to basically go throughout the whole map. I don't think there's anything too crazy as far as turns go or straightaways go. It's a pretty wide path at times. Sometimes it gets pretty narrow. And yeah, it mostly feels like one linear path, I would say, throughout the whole thing. There's not a lot of variety of alternate routes or anything. The soundtrack for this map is awesome. They do a great job with those songs. And to me, this map is so far different than any other map with its look, with it being a lot darker and more gray. And because of that, it feels and looks a lot different than any other map in the game. This map is going to be S tier. I'm putting S tier. I think it's a fantastic map. There's not a lot wrong with this map. Actually, boys, I just realized I forgot to do Arby's Short Circuit, which was added after Inside Out. So Arby's Short Circuit's pretty good. It's kind of like Arby's Arena. I appreciate that it has shorter races compared to the bigger maps, but there's nothing too special about it. I think it's pretty funny how there's like some really sharp turns and you can just fly off the edge. I don't think it's amazing. I'm just gonna put it in not bad, not great. It kind of just feels like a filler map. All right, next up is the Incredibles Showdown from The Incredibles. This one is gonna hurt. I am putting it C tier. Not bad, but not great. It's better than Arby's Arena, but let me explain why I'm putting it here. This map, I don't think was designed very well. The music is probably the best part of this map, but the track itself isn't the best. I like how vertical the map is. It really does feel like you're going up skyscrapers all the way down underground to where the underminers are in the bank. But I think they really missed out by not making a map based on the island from the first movie. I don't know why they set this map at the beginning of like Incredibles 2, where you're in the city and the underminers have attacked, and it just, because of that, it just kind of loses a lot of the charm that I think the Incredibles has. The underminers are very recognizable, and the Frozone part of the track is recognizable, and they have the Omni Droid in the map for some reason as well. I don't know why they went with the city though. To me, the city isn't anything special. There's like a random skyscraper and you go past random buildings. The design doesn't really scream Incredibles. I don't know why they didn't have one set on the island where you could like, you go past the rocket and you go into the bad guy's base through these hallways past maybe where like Mr. Incredible was held, and then you maybe go along the water where Dash got chased by those bad guys, and you could go into another cave, and then you could go through the forest. And I feel like the island was super iconic to the first movie. I can't be the only one, right? You also have that cool transport system on the island. Maybe you could also go past the volcano or something. There's also that underground area where Mr. Incredible finds Gazer Beam. You could have like had an underwater section of the map. You could have also had the conference room in the map with the lava walls that reveals that secret room. There's way more iconic stuff on the island than there is in the city, and I think that shows in this map. The obstacles on this map are also pretty bad in my opinion. The Omni Droid throwing random balls is just kind of weird. The water section of the map feels a little weird. The different pathing you have feels a little odd in this map. Like, it's not the worst thing ever, but I don't know. This map is very mid, and I think that's why I belong C tier. All right, and last but not least is the Portal from Tron. This is obviously the newest map, and so I played the least amount of time on this map than I have the other maps. I think this map looks fantastic. The blue lines and lights look awesome on this map, on buildings, on the Outlands, just everywhere. It looks fantastic. You have an Outlands part of the map, you have a city part of the map, as well as you go through the Disc Wars area, as well as you go past Flynn's Arcade, which is also a pretty cool Easter egg. So yeah, the overall look is great with all the blue lines and a lot of dark buildings. The map's colors are awesome. Let's talk about the tracks themselves. This map has some of the coolest grand pipe routes in the game. Like, you go on the outside of the map a few times. You also go super high above everyone else. There's even a part where you can't even see the track below you. You're just on this alternate route. It's pretty awesome. And they're everywhere. They're on like almost every circuit. There are some pretty sharp corners on this map, which no other map has. These corners aren't exactly rounded. They're like hard right angle corners, which took some time to get used to. I don't know if I'm a fan of them yet, but it is something different from what's come before. As far as like circuits go, I think there's a good variety there. There's some short races as well as some longer races. And a lot of the shorter ones through the city, I think are probably probably some of the best. I would have to keep it simple. I don't think it's amazing yet, but with a little bit I've played, I'm gonna put it A tier, and I'm probably gonna put it at the bottom of A tier. It could get better, it might grow on me, but I don't think it's S tier. And honestly, the other reason I'm putting it A tier is because of the music. Why is there no Daft Punk remixes in this map? That is a sham. Quite a shame that there are no remixes of the music from Tron Legacy when the music from Tron Legacy is phenomenal. And same with Pirates of the Caribbean. The fact we didn't get any Hans Zimmer scores when they redid the map and they just did more yo-ho remixes is quite a bummer. All right, so that's every map. We actually made it through all of them. Am I gonna move any of these around? I think I'm pretty confident where I put all of these. I may have put too many in S tier, and if I wanted to be a little more cynical, I would definitely put some of these down here. Maybe I'd move Toy Story, Arendelle, Nightmare Before Christmas down, and maybe even this if I wanted to be a little more hard on the maps. I think A tier is pretty good. I think B tier is also pretty good. Maybe I can move this one down here because it's not like a full map. In fact, maybe I'll do that. I don't think it lives up to the design of any of these other maps, so we'll move it down to C. I think that's fair. I do think it's still better than the Incredibles map. This map just feels like a city. It doesn't feel like an Incredibles map to me. I don't know why they didn't do the island. And yeah, F tier is definitely its own tier, inside out. That map is not fun. I'd rather play any other map in the game anytime. All right, so what'd you think of my tier list? Do you guys agree with my S tier? Let me know if you agree with me in the comments down below, and let me know why. I love hearing your guys' opinions on why you like certain maps and why you don't like other ones. I obviously appreciate some things that maybe you won't, and maybe you hate things about certain maps that I don't hate. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like the video, and let me know if you want to see any more tier lists. I had a blast making this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Awakened Void X. I'm signing out.